How's it going, everybody? This is the Nitty Gritty. My name is Chad. With me, as usual, is Leonard. How are you doing this week, Leonard?
I'm doing fine, sir. As you can see behind me, I have my Survivor Series posters up, ready for the big show later this month.
Right. I don't
Will I
have.
watch it?
I don't have any to change up. I still have my WrestleMania 5 one, but we this week are going to change it up a little bit. Hopefully, you guys all like it. But this is going to be our Fever Dream Matches series, and what we're going to do is we put as many names as we could into a random name generator, and we are going to select matches based on who comes out of that. So we're going to start with the women. The women,
now, before you go ahead and do that, I would like to actually say where this idea came from.
Yep, go ahead.
Which was, I'm a member of several wrestling Facebook groups, and someone in one posted a picture of Jeff Hardy, Jim Neidhart, Road Warrior Animal, and Demolition Smash, and said who would win. And again, it seems like a hodgepodge of guys. I get the theme is they're the second guy of notable tag teams, even though I think saying Jeff is secondary is very arguable. And the fact that he's a different era and a different style than the other three guys, I probably would have went with like maybe the Warlord. But it seemed just like such an odd mix of guys. And I sent that to Chad, and we said, well, why don't we kind of do this ourselves? So that's what we're going to attempt to do tonight to see how it goes. And just for the record, out of that sample match, I would pick the Animal to win, even though I would think Jeff Hardy is the bigger name and the better wrestler compared to the other three. He seems like he's there just to take bumps. So I would pick Animal as the winner.
Who did I pick in our text message? I probably picked
you
Jeff
said
Hardy.
Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
You said Jeff Hardy.
Yeah. So that's kind of how this is going to go.
Yeah.
We're going to do 3 matches. The first match will be the women. That'll be one-on-one. That'll be our opener. The second match will be a triple threat match. We're also going to have a random gimmick attached to that one. And then the final one will be, as Leonard just gave an example, will be our fatal 4-way. So we are going to get started here. Okay. And as I said, we are going to start with the women.
Yeah, and he's doing these live, so we have no idea who's going to come up. We didn't prepare.
That's right. I wish I could share the screen with everybody, but there's over 100 women, female names on this list. So here we go. Okay, so we have our first match. Are you ready, Leonard?
I'm ready. Hit me with it.
It is Velvet Sky versus Blue Pants.
Oh, my first thought here is, has that ever happened?
Probably not.
Yes, of course, Blue Pants is Leva Bates, but I love the story. She was working as a jobber in NXT, and the fans just took to her so much, and she didn't have a name, so they just started calling her Blue Pants, and that's where that came from.
And her theme music was amazing. I even, at one point, it had to be many years ago now, I pulled my wife into the room, and I was like, you got to see this. This character's name is just Blue Pants. And like, she thought it was hilarious too. And she hates wrestling. So.
And Leva Bates, is she still in AEW? Cause I know she was doing the librarian gimmick with Peter Avalon last night.
I mean, I think she is on the roster. I did see her name on the roster when I was going through and you know what? I didn't know that that's who this was. So I did not know that her name was Leva Bates. So that name rings a bell. So I did see it when I was, compiling these lists.
So possibly we could have had Leva Bates versus Blue Pants.
No, Leva Bates I didn't put on because I was like, okay. I've never heard of that person. So.
That's her real name. Blue Pants is Leva Bates.
Well, I think she should be still going by Blue Pants. I really do.
Yeah, I wonder if WWE trademarked Blue Pants.
And Ed Velvet Sky, obviously one of the staples of the TNA women's division, and just gorgeous, really. I don't know about her
the beautiful people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Easy
where is she at now? Is she anywhere?
Velvet Sky is currently with Ring of Honor, according to her Wikipedia page.
Okay. So, and again, I have been watching a lot of Ring of Honor.
No, lately, I haven't either.
Yes. So anyway, let's consider this matchup. I am leaning towards Blue Pants / Leva Bates. I think she's the better worker. I don't think Velvet is a slouch in the ring. I think she's gotten a lot better over the years from when she first started out. But if we're going on, if this was a show on a real card in a real company, I think Velvet Sky wins on name value. But if you're saying in a kayfabe sense, I would go with Leva Bates over Velvet Sky.
Yeah, I would go with Blue Pants on this one too. So we have no disagreement here. I actually think this would be a close match, though. When Blue Pants was with NXT, she didn't have a lot of victories under her belt. She certainly was a good worker, though, and I think that based on the fact that neither one of these female wrestlers was the top of their field, really. I would think that this would be a close competitive match, probably not very long. I wouldn't put this over 5 minutes, Leonard. What about you?
No, this is definitely an opener. Maybe it's a dark match opener, but yeah, it probably doesn't more than 5 minutes. And again, real company, Velvet probably gets the win in a squash.
Right. Yeah. So Blue Pants is the winner of our opener.
Mm-hmm.
And
based on our personal opinion about how much we like Blue Pants.
That's right. So we are going to go to our second match. It is the triple threat match with the mystery gimmick. And you know what we should do? We should start with the gimmick.
Okay. Is Judy Bagwell on a pole?
There's not everything on a pole, but there is a coal miner's glove in this. But
gotta have that.
That's just there's 66 different gimmick matches that I put on here, by the way, which is a lot. And the one that came out is an electrified cage match. So
fantastic.
That is what we have. We have an electrified cage match, but who do we have as our participants? We will go to our generator. The triple threat match we have for you, the triple threat and electrified cage, is, I'm sad to say, nowhere near as exciting as I wished it would be.
Oh, God.
We have Mojo Rawley versus Montez Ford.
Oh, God.
Versus Humberto Carillo in the electrified cage. These are all pretty modern guys, and they're going to battle it out in an electrified cage, which I feel like would be among the worst matches ever. If we were actually running a promotion, I think people would be leaving at this juncture.
If we were actually running a promotion, I think we would try to go for the worst matches that we could possibly come up with. Sometimes on different, Facebook groups and message boards, it's been like, make the worst card you can think of. And I usually am pretty good at that. But the randomness of this. So 3 modern guys. So I'm gonna let you talk first. I need to roll this over in my brain.
This is not an easy match, and that's why this is going to be fun. So I think that this could be honestly a toss-up. I think the clear underdog is Carillo.
Mm-hmm.
He's very new, and he's very good in the ring. I like his work. I don't think they're, as an aside, I don't think they're doing a lot with him. Mm-hmm. And what they are doing with him, he's almost like a glorified jobber. I feel sorry for him in that way because he does have a lot of talent, but, he's kind of stuck where he's stuck with, the Zelina Vega and, Andrade, all that kind of stuff. And he really hasn't broken free from that. So I think he's clearly the underdog here. Honestly, I think this comes down to Montez Ford and Mojo Rawley. And that is actually a pretty, even match if you're weighing both of them. But it's tough. I'm going to have to give the nod because of the gimmick involved, because it's an electrified cage. I'm going to have to give the nod to Mojo Rawley on this one because I think he's better in the cage. I really feel like he has a more aggressive style. Mm-hmm. He is somebody that would, I feel like he would charge and just knock people into the electrified cage, and that would be about it. So that's how I see this ending. But I'm going to slight edge to Mojo Rawley. Leonard, what do you think?
Once again, we agree, and it's because of the gimmick. I think Mojo definitely is going to be do exactly what you said, that he's going to be winging both the other guys into the electrified cage. It definitely leans towards him. If it wasn't a cage, I might go more toward Ford.
Yeah.
Even though one thing that kind of hurts Ford here, and again from a kayfabe standpoint, is the fact that he is primarily known as a tag wrestler, being part of the Street Profits, where you know Mojo is your clear singles competitor here. But again, we have no idea what the storyline might have been to get us to these three guys in an electrified
Clearly,
cage.
it's a long feud if it ended up being an electrified cage.
Yes, years and years between these three guys. This is actually going to be the main event for WrestleMania 40. We are predicting this now.
I hope that I'm no longer a fan if that's the direction they're going in.
You never know. But yeah, I just got to go based on the gimmick. I got to go with Mojo. I think he works the gimmick the best of the three. But without the gimmick, I probably would lean more towards Ford. And I do agree with you on Humberto Carillo. Carillo. The pronunciation of names is not a strong point. That I think he is a young up and comer, and if they let him develop more and maybe get out of being in that whole Vega area where he's at now that you mentioned, then I think that might help him. But yeah, once again we agree going Mojo.
All right. So we've yet to have an argument, but coming up is our main event. It's our fatal four-way. Obviously, it's for the world title. Maybe in a future episode, we'll put all the titles into a list, and maybe we'll have a random generator for a title. But
the Western States Heritage title.
Yeah, we'll have every single title that I can look up. It'll take me 3 months to produce that list. So we are going to go back to our name generator, and this time I'm going to put in 4.
Okay.
And here we go. Okay. So, oh boy, what a main event this is.
Okay.
And we have our fatal four-way for the world title. This will probably be the last match our promotion has based on the names that came out of this. We have Brian Pillman Jr.
Okay.
versus Jerry Flynn versus Big Dick Dudley versus Horseshoe. Okay, so Horseshoe, in case people don't know, a lot of people probably don't know who Horseshoe is, Leonard, but I want you to tell them who Horseshoe is.
Yes, I actually remember this. It was a gimmick name that Luther Reigns, who some people may know that name, used when he was in WCW, and it was based on him having his hair cut in the shape of a horseshoe. I don't remember if it was at the front of the head or the back of the head, but the hair was cut in a horseshoe, and that's where the name came from.
And how creative that is. So yes. We have Horseshoe. It's not Luther Reigns, so he's clearly still green, but we have Horseshoe in this match. We have Brian Pillman Jr., another up-and-comer. We have Big Dick Dudley. And we also have Jerry Flynn. And Jerry Flynn, in case those of you don't know, was a mixed martial artist. He was in WCW for a while, and he ended up the end of his career there. He and Juventud Guerrera had gotten arrested for a DUI, but he got defeated by Goldberg, and he had a bunch of matches. I remember a match with Tank Abbott, I feel like, as well.
Yes, yeah, I primarily remember him from, like, if you look at like Goldberg's streak, there I believe several Jerry Flynn wins on there from like house shows and different things. So right, but that's primarily where I remember Jerry Flynn from.
So Leonard, we're gonna switch it back to you now. Out of these 4 clearly main event superstars here, who are you picking to be the inaugural world title winner?
First of all, I've met Brian Pillman Jr. and a nice kid. I think he definitely has a future career in the business. I don't know if WWE would ever roll the dice on him, but if they would, I think he's got something going on. But much similar to the example match that I gave, it feels like he's there just to bump for the other three guys, because the other three guys are much bigger. They're more power wrestlers. Of course, Flynn has the MMA background. Horseshoe is nothing but a power wrestler, and again, very green. This feels like an ECW match. This feels like, and that there would be some weird storyline that would have gotten these four guys together. Only Paul Heyman would know best what that would be. So if it was an ECW match, I think Big Dick Dudley wins. But I am going to go with Brian Pillman Jr. because my concept is going to be that this is a match designated to put him over and to build him. And because I really don't want to give the win to either of the other three guys. So I am going to, as the booker of this fake federation of fever dream matches, I'm going to go with Brian Pillman Jr.
Wow. It's amazing that in the first time we're doing this, we agree on all three, which it doesn't do much for entertainment value, but no. I have reasoning too, which goes with this. So I feel like Jerry Flynn and Horseshoe battle it out together. I feel like those are two guys that end up battling outside the ring, and it's one of those old school WWF angles where they battle outside the ring and they end up battling back into the locker room, so you don't see them anymore. They start their feud, Horseshoe, Jerry Flynn, that iconic feud that goes back to the locker room. So they're out of the picture. So it becomes a Brian Pillman Jr. versus Big Dick Dudley match. And I feel like based on that Brian Pillman Jr., based on the fact that he's much more athletic, I feel like he gets an easy 1, 2, 3 here, because he just needs to use that athleticism and that high-flying ability to outwit and outmaneuver the bigger, more unwieldy competitor. And I feel like he is a definite winner for our inaugural world title.
Very appealing. I got a follow-up for you. Who wins between Brian Pillman Jr. and Mojo Rawley?
Oh, well, so if we're doing like the Survivor Series that one year, we take all the survivors of our matches.
And we could throw in Blue Pants. So it's Blue Pants versus Mojo Rawley versus Brian Pillman Jr.
Oh, man. Well, you know what? I'd have to go Mojo Rawley. If we're having those three in a match, I'd have to go Mojo Rawley because I feel like Blue Pants and Brian Pillman Jr. is one of those like understated great feuds that we've yet to see.
I think those two could actually put on a good match with each other if they went up against each other. But yeah, it still feels, again, I keep going back to the idea that they're just going to be like the cannon fodder to bump for Mojo. Although in my heart of hearts, I would want Brian Pillman Jr. to win that match. Again, they both feel like butt machines for Mojo, if that's how we're going. So, yes, this is an episode where we wind up putting over Mojo Rawley.
Well, you know what? No. That last match was bonus.
That was bonus.
Our world champion is Brian Pillman Jr.
Our world champion is, although I think winning the electrified steel cage match should give Mojo a title shot. I mean,
yeah, it probably should give him a title shot. But alas, he was injured in the electrified cage, and that's we're making it up on the fly here.
Yes.
So, all right. Hopefully you enjoyed this trip down fantasy lane, right, Leonard? We will definitely do this again because I think it's fun, and as we keep adding to it, it will be even more random. And,
yes, because I totally think that we should keep Brian Pillman Jr. as our world champion. I think we should have a title belt match, some random title belt match next time. And I think we should have at least one tag match.
Absolutely.
Next time as well. And
the way I see it, if a career-ending match ever comes up in our gimmick matches, if whoever loses, like they should be off of our lists.
Yeah,
their career has ended. At this point, people are watching another YouTube video. That's what.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we thank you for joining us in Fever Dream Matches Collection 1. And we will be back with you next week. Thank you for joining us.